Listen, I think we've all, and I certainly have questioned the commitment and the fight at times this season of Liverpool Football Club and some of the players, often with some serious justification. But I think there's 3 or 4 lads last night, Chris, to come out of that with just tons and tons of credit. I think we mentioned Konate and all the difficulties he's had in terms of his form, in terms of the future, in terms of his personal circumstances as well, as you touched on. I think McAllister's form's come into question, and rightfully so. Andy Robertson's future, and he's been out in the cold a little bit. We mentioned Endo's been just unused completely. So for all of them to step up in that environment last night, in that atmosphere, and deliver those levels of performances just speaks to their professionalism, speaks to their fight, speaks to their desire against a really tricky opponent, an unbeaten opponent in their own backyard. Chris, like, that was, I'm reticent to call it a statement victory, but it was a victory that gives you hope, I think.
Yeah, I think it does. Like, I wasn't particularly enamoured with the performance, if I'm being honest, across the full 90. But the result was good this time around, and we've had too many good performances that have had bad results. So, it's a stepping stone for me. It's a confidence builder. You've gone into a place that's tough, as you say, to win. You've won, you've got the 3 points, you've got a clean sheet as well. You've had big performances. I think last night I was probably overcritical of McAllister. I thought defensively, and I said this last night, I thought he was excellent. Gravenberch, a little bit anonymous for me, but McAllister was there, defending on the edge of his area. But actually watching the highlights back, and I haven't had time to watch the full game back, you realise how many good passes McAllister made as well, which I hadn't noticed when I watched the game live. So I think that was a really good performance from him. I thought Virgil van Dijk was excellent as well. We looked into some of his stats and stuff last night, and can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it might have been 14 header clearances or something like that. It was ridiculous. And he's passing those headers a lot of the time now as well, because he knows that Liverpool are crap at second ball. So big performances from him, and I think you've got to look at it and say, like, listen, it's not been a good season so far. That everybody knows that. But the one thing you can't question after last night's performance and others is that everyone is still playing for this manager, and that's a good thing. And even lads who've been out on the cold, like Endo, are putting in performances. Like Curtis Jones in recent weeks comes on, absolutely excellent, gets his head down, runs around. Chiesa, goodness me, what a professional, if nothing else. Every single time he takes the field, he's given absolutely everything he can, 100% of the time. So that's really good. Robertson, again, probably had his own issues with the manager, comes in, puts in a big performance for us, up, down, wherever he's needed to be. So these are the things that I think you can use and you can build on here.
Yeah, it felt like before kick-off it was a match where the odds are against you. Now we know it's only Sunderland away, but they've not lost there all season. You've lost your talisman, you're suspended, you're in a bad run of results. Things aren't looking good. The team last night looked like they had something to prove, especially after the City game. So when you're struggling the way they are, and when you've got the odds against you like that, you need your players to step up, and every single one of them did last night.
No, absolutely, completely agree, wholeheartedly.
Glad Granit Xhaka wasn't playing, by the way.
Likewise, yeah, but then they'd have the same conversation about Dom Szoboszlai, wouldn't they? I think, again, as you referenced there, and rightfully so, to do that without our best player this season, I think, speaks volumes of where we're at, and there'd be loads of people out there waiting for us to drop points last night, because again the odds would suggest that we should have done, really, in theory, because that's just how we've been all season long. So to do that in the heat of the battle and stand up to that test, testament to a lot of the lads, but I think in particular those who've had really testing times for a variety of reasons, to be honest. The one thing I would say, Chris, just on the performance, this might be more why you were a little bit disappointed, frustrated, however you like to word, don't put words in your mouth. We could have been out of sight. We could have put the game to bed a little bit sooner. I think with a bit more ruthlessness with Mekatike especially. Misses another header.
Great ball by Robbo.
Great ball by Robertson. And there's also a chance when it breaks from inside the 6-yard box that he hits over. Like, love him. He's been exceptional. But there's a couple of examples now, particularly in the air, where you think just need a little bit more from you.
Coaching points. Absolutely. Paul said this last night. He's just got to be heading the ball a lot in the summer, in the break. I'm going to excuse him, the last couple, because I think he is being overplayed, and he's tired, and I think when you are physically fatigued, you can become mentally fatigued as well. So I do think it's still been a fantastic season for Mekatike. We know exactly what his qualities are. We know what he's going to be in the future, but young players can be a little bit like that, can't they? Where it just fits and starts, you know, that consistency you don't really get as a centre forward till, if you're lucky, 23, 24, 25, but more often than not 25, 26, 27 in age. So Ekitike's a little way off that now, and he's still finding his feet as well, you know, and he's playing with lads who I think it's fair to say over the course of the season have struggled. You know, Gakpo's had his critics, Salah's been, you know, below his usual high standards, Wirtz has been trying to get himself into the side, McAllister's gone missing at times, big portions of time, to be fair. So for him to be able to put these performances in throughout the course of the season while everything else is sort of on fire around him, you know, is a testament to his qualities. We do need to do more, I think, Dan, for giving him some respite. Yeah. Like, you know, there is a point where it's normally 70 minutes in when he's visibly blowing.
Yeah, you're carrying him for that moment on. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I thought he was fine last night. Maybe a quieter night than what he would have wanted, but there was a moment as well. I think it's early in the second half. I imagine it would be because he beat someone, where he just goes. It's on the left hand side.
Yeah. On the touchline.
That's Thierry Henry, that.
That is.
And I know that 100%. Is a wild thing to say, but as I watched it live in my head, I went, I've seen Henry do that to Jamie Carragher loads. Like, it just felt like it. What happened next? I think Gakpo actually sort of ends up getting in the way a little bit, and it all sort of breaks down. But for a split second there, I was like, wow.
I think Gakpo tackles him.
Yeah, it does all get a little bit messy, and I think Ekitike was a bit visibly frustrated by how it played out. But yeah, just that moment, that burst, and that, yeah, just quality. Right, we do see it out, as mentioned. Ian, I've asked this a couple of times recently, and obviously we know what happened or preceded last night in terms of the night before with United and Chelsea dropping points. We've seen some false dawns this season from Liverpool, but forgetting all what's gone before, does this week and what we saw last night from Liverpool give you confidence, faith, belief, once again, that Liverpool can get a top four, so try finish?
The fact there was a bit of fight in there gives me more confidence than I've seen quality, to be honest with you. Because one of my worries was that we weren't playing for the manager anymore. And it was evident last night that players are playing for the manager. So if they're playing for the manager, you've always got that chance. If they're not playing for the manager, you've got no hope.
Yeah, okay, Chris. Because again, I think Ian's right. In the heat of the battle last night, we really stood up, and I think that tells us a lot about us mentally.
Yeah, I think we're there. I think we're in for the fight for Champions League. Every single one of those players wants to play Champions League again next season, and probably still the easiest way to do that is via the Premier League. Manchester United and Chelsea aren't going to win all of their games, but we've got to put them under pressure. You know, I'll be honest, at 1-0 I was wondering whether we were going to end up drawing that game
or losing
the game as well. I think I even said that during the watch long. If they score here, I think we're fucked, to be honest with you. But we didn't. We hung on. We're game a week for a little while now. Yeah. I think we play 4 of the bottom 5 in our next 4 games, because I've got the order here. Got Nottingham Forest away. We've got West Ham at home. We've got Wolves away, and Tottenham are down there as well. And we've got them at Anfield.
As well.
Yeah, and Tottenham needs to be grouped into that relegation chat.
Well,
right
they're
now,
4 of the bottom 5. It's only Burnley, I think, that's missing out of them, isn't it? Yeah. So, on paper, winnable fixtures. And they should be for this Liverpool squad, especially if we're playing 1 game a week. That's the other thing before the Champions League starts. Can we get those results? That's the big thing, because these are the games that you think Wolves was terrible at Anfield, and you know we've had poor results this season against those sides, and they're fighting for something. We're getting to the business end of the season. You know, West Ham have had a bit of an uptick. They've nearly, you know, reeled Nottingham Forest in. Tottenham don't want to be embroiled in it. Nottingham Forest want to try and get themselves out of it. Wolves, I don't know whether they've broken the record yet. I
think they've probably just accumulated enough points last night.
It's on 9. Okay, they're on 9 now. Is it 11?
11, yeah.
Okay, so a win would put them above that. So they're fighting for something, if not, you know, safety.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a lot harder than maybe on paper it will suggest because of that.
No, I tend to agree. Listen, in terms of the Premier League standings after this week, so there's 1 more game to go, isn't it? But it doesn't really affect us. Is it Arsenal, Brentford tonight? I mean, Brentford
does affect us.
Could catch us, and maybe even take over if they manage to put a few goals past. Our goal if it's only 1 ahead of theirs as things stand. But between us, Chelsea, Man United, 26 games played, everybody now. And we're 3 points off Manchester United on 45 to our 42. Chelsea 44 to our 42. So just kind of underlines, Ian, how important last night was. Not just in terms of the performance and the fight, 'cause I love that side of it as well. But if what happens, what we feared might happen, happened in terms of dropping points again or them rallying and nicking a late equaliser, then all of a sudden we are up in real problems. But yeah, to see that out last night in somewhat, in a gritty way, I think is really, really crucial.
Yeah, and what you've got to do when you're in this type of fight is when an opportunity comes up to make up points, you have to take it. Because if you don't, it's absolutely demoralising. It demoralises us, and it definitely demoralises the players. What has happened last night is because United and Chelsea both dropped points and we've gone and won.
You've capitalised, yeah.
You've capitalised and you've uplifted the mood. You've uplifted the mood within the squad and you've uplifted the mood within the fan base. So yeah, that's what you've got to do. You've got to take your opportunities when they come.
And next time around, when the Premier League does return, because obviously it's FA Cup this weekend, as Chris mentioned, we've got Forest and Chelsea play Burnley at home, which you'd expect to be a 3-point banker for them, really. But you never know. Burnley actually managed to sort themselves out last night for a little bit.
Yeah, Chelsea, can you?
A wild 10 minutes later. But then Man United go to Everton on Monday. Can we expect any favours from our mate across the city now? Not across the park anymore, are they?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. They'll say roll over and take on my belly.
Probably, yeah. Probably. But as mentioned, we then have West Ham, Chelsea, Arsenal away, and Man United host Crystal Palace. So lots of footballs we played, but again, I think last night has really sort of given me belief that we can still compete, because I was starting to waver there momentarily.
Mate, just digging out results important.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to dig out results, even when your performances aren't quite there, and we haven't done enough for that. You're absolutely spot on.
Go on.
To be fair, when you're at your best, like when you're winning leagues, you've got to be able to dig up results, because you're going to have performances when you're not playing. So when you're struggling, you definitely need to dig up results.
That was a clip from the Final Word show. To check out the entire show, head on over to the Redmen Plus app.